go. Hi, this is Rob with Life Radio, and I have a special guest today who's pretty familiar with the radio himself, many years in the business. Mr. Paddy Quin, how are you today, Pat?
Great, Rob. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. Look at that. Give myself credit. It's pretty bad. I can imagine. Yeah.
Well, look at two things I love: radio. I miss it, and I love talking. So this is a perfect marriage of those two passions for me.
Awesome. Well, and as you were saying, it's probably a real clash with your work. This is a busy time of year for you guys.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting you would say that. Tis the season for the industry I'm in, the automotive sales. So yeah, this is the busy time, coupled with the election here. My mind's been going 100 miles an hour, and I know you and I have tried to connect a few times, so I'll apologize for that in advance. But it's great to be here. Finally,
no trouble. It's good to have you. Well, we and they miss you on radio too. It was nice having you when you drove to work. You got used to hearing you, on that drive-in and stuff. It was nice.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate hearing that, Rob. I mean, you're behind the microphone now. I'm super jealous of that and totally envious. I do miss it absolutely every day. I miss talking about Miramichi to Miramichiers, which is, what your goal is each and every day. And perhaps someday, if the moon and stars align, I'll get another crack at it. But for the time being, I'll remain a loyal listener to all the stations in town who are doing their thing, and especially yourself. So I appreciate what you've been doing too, as well, taking that to the next level, covering this municipal election and all your other interviews. I love hearing and listening and seeing Miramichi folks talk about what he or she is up to about their community.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thanks. Coming from you, that's a real compliment. Well, I might as well start right off the bat with what made you decide to get into running for city council? Because there's a lot of work for little money. So
yeah, this is a great question. Look, Rob, fact of the matter is I'm 45 years old. I had been kicking this ball down the road here for the last two municipal elections, and for various reasons, it just wasn't in the cards for me. It wasn't the right timing. And I have a young lad who's now 20. So that, he's doing his thing at university. So that frees up some more time, when the kids are spreading his or her wings. So I do feel like it's my time in a really strange way. After saying no a few times to myself, I've decided to say yes. And I feel the timing is right for me. And we'll see what the folks say on May 10th as far as whether my timing is right or not. And I certainly respect that.
Well, your name's well known, that's for sure. Lots of people know you. Do you so how going forward, what's your idea or your vision for growing the city and creating jobs and that kind of stuff?
Well, Rob, look, the fact of the matter is this, and you just said growing. We got to grow in a couple of ways. We have to grow, to be more grammatically correct. We have to grow in a couple of ways. We got to get our population base up. We have to get our economic development up. And, in a real fundamental grassroots, blue collar, call it what you want, we need to get our level of unity and pride up as well. We got lots of growing to do. How do we do it? That's the $64,000 question. If we had all the answers, this would be easy. The fact of the matter is, it's not easy. And, we put it to the voters. The voters elect the 8 people that he or she feel are going to grow their community. And you roll the dice. It's a crapshoot, obviously. As far as economic development, we have to let the outside folks and would-be investors who are perhaps looking to expand his or her business or grow their business, and maybe Miramichi is on their map. We got to let them know we're open for business at all times. We got to make it easy for them to want to invest here. Or they won't. It's as simple as that. Folks who invest in communities, be they big corporations or small business, which is key too. It has to be easy. It has to be attractive. So we have to make it easy, and we have to make it attractive. Population growth, as we continue on the trajectory of growing. We're an aging population. We've had a little bump lately with folks who have chosen to make Miramichi their home, and we have to grow that population base as well and make it attractive, make them want to stay, more importantly, after they do get here and get settled. So there's all kinds of ideas, Rob. We could talk ad nauseum here for hours on end, but the fact of the matter is we have to grow, we have to do it together, and we have to do it for all the right reasons, which is to move Miramichi forward. And that idea of the Miramichi we all have in our head of what we think it is, let's get there, and let's do it together, and let's get there sooner rather than later, if at all possible.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Well, on a specific note, I asked everybody I wanted to have one question to sort of get an idea about how people think. I was wondering about how you feel about the multiplex with the older buildings versus the new building, and the money, and how we go about changing as a city and growing.
Well, it's interesting you would ask me that question, Rob. That is certainly in the top 3 of the topics that I'm hearing when I connect with folks. And obviously it's a bit of a different election in that sense. You can't really do a door-to-door in the truest sense, but man, it's a hot topic. It's one that runs deep. Those that want it all. Those that don't want it at all. Is there a happy medium? I think so. And I think we have to work towards getting there. As far as my own opinion on the multiplex, look, if we're going to grow, attract, and retain folks, we have to provide the proper infrastructure for their families to want to come, to want to stay, and to continue to grow our Miramichi. Now, as far as the cost structure, which is the one that really scares, I don't know if scare is the right word, Rob, the most unsettling aspect of it, if I may use that term, rather than scare, is the costs associated with it. And are there costs associated with it? Certainly. Is there a hard number? Like, I've heard all kinds of numbers thrown at me, and I'm thinking, I'm not so sure. Fact of the matter is, I'm not privy to the inside information here because I'm on the outside looking in, hoping to get in, but we got to cost it out. We got to figure out what it's going to cost once and for all. We have to find our partners, of course, at the provincial and federal level. And we got to build it. And if we don't build it, if we decide that we're not going multiplex, if that should be the will of the current council, or excuse me, the council that will be in place, then we have to step backwards and then reinvest in the existing properties that are in the inventory, should that be the term, of what the city owns and operates. But as far as multiplex, I think in order to grow, we need to take the positive steps forward to working towards the end game. And I don't know the exact amount of time, and this is not an indictment on previous councils, Rob, whatsoever, or previous mayors. I certainly respect anyone who's put his or her name forth and served their community. So this is not an indictment, but this ball's been kicked down the road one way or the other for a few years now. And I do believe it's our time to either make it happen or to put the dream to end and retrofit, upgrade, maintain, whatever the terms there are, the buzzwords, are pre-existing infrastructures.
Okay. Well, as our city grows, which it has, because there's a shortage in housing, and there's a lot of jobs around. There also, you get people falling through the cracks. We have a drug epidemic starting. As we grow, we get more of, some of the worst things start to pop up. And crystal meth has become a real issue. But as a counselor, how do you feel dealing with that on the policing side and on the helping people side?
Look, Rob, yeah, that's a great question too. There's all kinds of social issues that need to be addressed, and certainly not specific to Miramichi, but this is what we're talking about. Look, in my former career at the radio station, I used to get to work around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And you would see some folks who were out and about, and it would just break your heart. I feel for them, but for a better decision by Rob and Paddy, we could be in the same boat. And it's as simple as that. It's highly addictive. There are some social aspects that we have to deal with. Can you wave your wand, Rob, and clean the city? Absolutely not. But you know what? We need programs in place. Be they obviously the higher levels of government have detox facilities and social programs to help and assist. Where does the city come in here, other than to provide the gateway and the pathway to those positive steps forward? I think that's our role. As far as policing goes, look, I'm a firm believer and supporter of all emergency services and first responders. Do the police have a role in working towards this? Absolutely. Does Rob and Paddy, as average day citizens and folks listening and watching right now, have a role in it? Absolutely. Don't be shy in reaching out to someone who needs some help. There are people that need help, and they're just like you and I. And but for another decision, it could be us. And I would implore people to be on the lookout, should that be the term, to just help where you can. I mean, you see it every day, Rob, and whether it's affordable housing, folks who need a little bite to eat, or folks with addiction issues. You don't have to look too far, unfortunately. And I know, again, Rob, you had mentioned my former radio past, and I keep falling back on that. And you have a front row seat for it too. There's always committees and organizations appealing to folks in the media like yourself at present, and me formerly, and you pitch in where you can, and then you really sink your teeth into the topic of the day, and then you realize, holy smokes, I didn't realize it was this deep. The one that used to really just boggle my mind and break your heart all at once was we did probably the biggest day at the radio station in the day. I don't know what they're doing now. Was for the food bank. And when you realize the statistics of folks who need a bite to eat in this community, it's staggering. And thank goodness there are folks who administer food bank programs and school breakfast programs, and because there is a need. I kind of forget the statistics. I apologize for that, but the point being is that you don't have to look too far. And I would implore and ask folks to just help where you can. I know times are tight for most of us, but if you can, but for your own resources, at least your own compassion, just point Rob or Paddy, to use a few names, in the right direction on how we can get some help.
That's awesome. Well, it sort of brings me to my next question, which you sort of answered in a way, but I've been asking everybody about faith, not from the sense of, but how do you make your moral decisions? Were you brought up in a certain faith? Do you have a belief that tells you that to do good for this reason or that reason? So what's your faith structure, and how does it affect you in making decisions?
That's a deep question, Rob. Look, growing up, was raised in your classic Irish Catholic household, St. Michael's Church, believe it or not. And folks, don't fall off your chair, Rob. I used to actually have one of my first jobs was an evening caretaker at St. Michael's Basilica. So I was heavily connected there. Now, as far as my own faith journey, if that should be the question, Rob, that's a personal one for me.
Sure.
We're all at different points, and we're all at different levels of where we are in that journey. You can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. As far as faith here, look, I have faith in our community. I have faith in our residents in our community that we want a better Miramichi. We'll work towards a better Miramichi, and we'll do that together. And look, I've said this before in other aspects of my life, and I don't want to get all buzzwordy and cliche, but sure. But we're better together. And the moment that Rob befriends Paddy and Paddy befriends Rob, well, now we're two people from two different walks of life with two different ideologies. And you know what, Rob? We're not always going to agree on everything. We're likely going to have a few disagreements, but if the end goal is common, I'm not so sure it matters how we get there. It's that we get there. And it is the journey, but if the end result is the desired end result, then it would be hard to question the journey as to how we got there, if you know what I'm saying.
That sort of was the idea behind the questioning, is the idea of we're all trying to get to this place of lifting our city up. And so we want to make sure that people are going about it in a way and have a reason to feel like, okay, this is what I want to do and for what reason. So that's kind of the reasoning behind the question structures and just where we're all at and trying to help each other. And we want to make sure we get the right people in there who want to make a difference for each one of us individually.
Well, Rob, let me jump back in there. As you say, make a difference. Think about this just fundamentally. And I would challenge folks to do this. And this really has nothing to do with why we're here today. This is not Paddy who is running for council. This is Paddy who cares about his community speaking now to Rob, who also cares about his community, or he wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. So I can appreciate the venue and avenue. But Rob, if you and I and folks listening and watching in today literally did but one thing daily, to make our community better. And whether that is something so simple as picking up some garbage and row, as we like to say around here, and throwing in the garbage can, or stop and Rob on the street, who you think maybe having hard times, and engage and figure out if Rob is in hard times. And if Rob is in hard times, how can I help Rob? If we did but one thing every day. I read with some interest the other day, there was and it kind of went Facebook viral. There was a city bus driver in St. John who had a full load on, driving those big buses like you see in the bigger cities, Rob. And the gentleman put the bus in park, opened his door, and got out and helped an elderly citizen across the road. And it goes viral. And I understand why it goes viral. But you know what? How many other people drove by said gentleman before the bus driver decided he or she should pull over? And if we were just more aware of things like that, it seems something so minor that went so viral, but it's the little things. If everyone, look, at there's 13,910 voters in this city to get back to the election, which is why we're here. If 13,910 people did something better to make our community better each and every day, man, can you imagine where we'd be? Imagine.
Well, I kind of base my show around that. The very last song of my show, every day, I set it as a standard, is today I'm going to try and change the world. And I put a quote from something somebody's doing in our community or around the world to make a difference. It doesn't matter if it's saying hi to the waitress at the Tim Hortons or wherever, and being nice to them, and maybe thinking up a joke to tell them, make them feel a little better that day. Everything can make a difference if they think the world is a little bit better. So I appreciate everything you said there. And I like to give everybody the last word, Patty. Make sure that they get to say out and I don't drown them out, or as I have a tendency to do sometimes. So let everybody know why you're running. And thank you again for coming on and all you did, all the years on the radio. I appreciate it. I had lots of good laughs along the way and smiled many a day driving in, listening to you guys. So it was good fun.
Yeah, well, I appreciate hearing that, Rob. That means a lot. Thank you for that. And again, likewise, I appreciate what you're doing now. I'm a firm believer in local radio and local media in general. So kudos for you for that, and for the invitation, the avenue and venue for this today. Now, back to the Council Patty speaking again. Look, here's the deal, folks. With the utmost respect and admiration, thank you to the 8 folks who are currently city councilors and Mayor Lorden. This is in no way, shape, or form. My involvement is not an indictment on the 8 people. I know many of them very well, and others well. But the reality is, in my own brain, I think I'd rather be part of the solution than the problem. So hence my name being put on the ballot. And I'm fully conscious and aware that in order for me to be successful, that someone has to go. That's the game, Rob. Unfortunately, for better or worse, that's the game we're in. But I have an idea of what I think Miramichi is, what I think we want to be. Super proud of where we've been, where we are, and more importantly, what drives me every day is where we're going next. So, look, the 8 people that are previously in there, you're judging them on their past record. The fact of the matter, for someone like myself who's trying to take that step forward towards council, I need your vote and support this time, and then you can judge me the next time. And it's as simple as that. There's wants and needs, and in this particular one, I would like and want to be a councilor, but in order for me to get there, I need your vote. So look, when it's ballot time, whether you're doing advance polls or the day of, just all I could ask is for your consideration, and that's enough for me. And real quickly too, Rob, and I have to kind of just clarify one thing. It's been a lifelong. I'm 45 years old. About 5 times a year, I get confronted with it. My given name is Martin. So from left to right on the ballot, it will say Martin Paddy Quin. So don't get thrown. Martin is me. If I can get a quick plug in there for that.
All right.
They gave me the name and never called me. Figure that one out.
That's awesome. I'm the same way. My first name isn't Rob either. So
there you go. Wow. Okay.
But what can you do? Well, I want to thank you, Patty, for coming out, and we love everybody loves hearing you on the radio. So anytime you want to call in or got an idea, let us know. Maybe we'll do a show together. Have some fun.
Look, please keep a lad in mind, Rob. There's classic Miramichi. Keep a lad in mind. You ever need a wing person for a couple hours to fill some time? I'm your guy. Give me a ring.
Oh, it'd be awesome. All right, Patty. Well, you have a great day, and thanks again.
Take care, my friend.